Welcome to the new sound of Rockland. RocklandWorldRadio.com. Exciting online TV and radio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Welcome to the new sound of Rockland. RocklandWorldRadio.com. Exciting online TV and radio. Watch and listen to what you've been missing. Broadcasting independent music, art, and culture. From the world of pop to poetry, classical to cutting edge. Movies, comedy, jazz, jams, rock and roll baby, interviews, information, and event listings. Join the revolution. It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.
Welcome to Dialogues with Dan, heard on Rockland World Radio every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out the archives, which you can find located off the menu bar. And now the host of Dialogues with Dan, Mr. Dan Windheim.
Thanks, Richard. This is Dan. Hope everyone's having a great week, great day. Tonight, I have a live guest. I'm speaking with Bonnie Pilar from mainly Silver Moves. I'd like to introduce Bonnie Pilar. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi,
nice
Danny.
to see you.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Yeah, Bonnie, I know you're all about looking young, being young, feeling young. And maybe we could start by you telling us about mainly Silver Moves and about feeling young, being young.
Well, my logo or my motto is growing older, feeling younger. And mainly Silver Moves is a studio where I teach Pilates and train people in gyrotonic and gyrokinesis. And the reason for my name, and by the way, I wear this little locket that says, growing older, feeling younger, because this was a 70th birthday gift to me from my grandchildren.
Oh, no.
So
That can't be true.
there you go. 71, April 30th.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. And basically that's where my name comes from, because I like to work with senior citizens. I like to work from the age group 60 and above. I have clients in their 60s. I do have a couple younger, but basically 60s all the way up to into their 80s.
Wow.
And
Bonnie, how would you say people are aging?
It's such a different world today. People are more aware, I think, of diet and nutrition. So my generation, I think the majority of them are not aging really well.
No.
Like I hear from my children's friends, oh, my parents don't look like you, and, my mom doesn't look like you, or you should come and, train with my mom. But I think with the younger generation, or, the generation before mine, it's so different because they're so much more aware of nutrition, what's healthy to eat, and I think they will age, they will grow older and feel younger.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think if you feel younger, you're going to look younger too.
Right. What are some roadblocks
Along the
that
way?
prevent people from aging well? Or what is the sticking point besides what you just said?
I think the stress that we live under today, the pressure that people live under today.
Yes.
A lot of people, when they're under that stress and pressure, go to the cake and the ice cream and the sweets and the carbohydrates, and I'm smiling because I'm one of those people. I am an emotional eater. And I think that's a very big roadblock for people. You always hear people are always on a diet. Oh, I'm on this diet today. I'm on that diet next week. I'm going to go on this cleanse today, without really looking into themselves to see really what's going on.
Yes, so are you saying that there's something like within that prevents people from eating right, living right, and flourishing?
Yeah, I really do believe that. And I think part of the reason, too, is that those people that are having the difficulty, perhaps they're afraid to look within at themselves, or they may be in therapy and reach a point in therapy where they've gotten so close to themselves that they're about to take the step inward, and it frightens them, and so they back away from therapy, or they decide, I don't like this therapist, I'm going to another therapist, or they decide it's not really working, I'm going back to a gallon of ice cream.
That makes sense. Yeah, could you talk about disease or illness or some of the things that strike us as we age, whether it be by accident or malnourishment or what have you?
Interesting question. The word disease, I think in itself is really interesting. And I like to look at it as dis-ease, because there's more than just physical disease, like with Parkinson's or asthmatics or heart disease or any of that stuff as we grow older. Some of it is, again, genetics. Some of it is lifestyle. But there is also just dis-ease with what's going on with someone's life. And therefore, I could get clients that are going to be coming in like this because they're carrying the weight of their life on their shoulders. And to me, that's dis-ease, even though it's not a disease per se.
Exactly. So maybe you could tell us what goes on at your studio. It's called Mainly Silver Moves, and it's located...
It's a home-based business. I'm located in Grandview on Hudson, right on River Road. And so just walking into the studio will relax people because I've placed my studio in a room where you're on the equipment and the Hudson is there. I've had clients come in and they'll have a day where they'll come in and it'll be just absolutely glorious outside, and they'll sit down and they'll go, can I just sit here for the hour and just watch the view? Because it's just that relaxing just coming in, whether it's cloudy or not. But in the studio, like I say, I teach both Pilates on the equipment and on the mat. And I teach gyrotonic, which is using a pulley and weight system, and gyrokinesis, which is taught, starts on the chair, moves to the floor, moves up to standing. And that's without equipment. I teach, like I was said earlier, I teach people mostly from their 60s all the way into the 80s. I've taught people with Parkinson's. I've taught people with breathing problems. I work a lot with balance, which is very important because, we start losing balance once we hit 40. And they know that. They've done research on that. So from 40 on, we start losing balance.
So do you have an age, like minimum, you have to be at least 50?
Oh, no. I mean, if somebody's come to me and said they have a teenager that they like to do the exercise, I would work with that person too. I personally just enjoy working with the senior population because of who I am. Look, I'm a great example for these people. You know, I could be working with somebody in their 60s, and again, I'm going to be 71 April 30th, and they could be working. If it's somebody I know I've been working with for a while, and I know what they could do, and I know what they can't do, and I know how far I could push them. And if they say to me like, I can't do this, and I go, hey, if I could do it, you could do it, you know. And they laugh, and they move, you know. And I laugh with them, and I go, see, you know.
Yes.
So that's the fun of working with the seniors and my age group.
Yes.
Seniors just doesn't sound right because I don't feel like a senior. But
Definitely.
But it's that age group that I do enjoy working with because I feel free and they feel free with me because they're not working with a 20 or 30-year-old trainer. They're working with their peer.
Yes.
So they know they feel safe. If I'm going to push them a little bit, then they feel safe in that I'm pushing them. It's not a 20-year-old pushing them and going, hey, you know.
Yes. You're the lone trainer?
I'm a lone trainer.
At this point?
Yes, at this point. Yeah, this is a home-based studio, and I'm a lone trainer, yes.
And could you tell us about the cost? Or are there coverages?
Yeah, for a single session, a private session, it's $85. And then I go to $750 for a group of 10. But once you hit 65, I have this graded thing. Yes. I'll bring it down to $700. And if you hit 80, I'll bring it down to, I forget, it was $650 or $600, somewhere around that. And that's just to keep encouraging the older population to keep coming. It's so important for them to keep moving. It's so important for them to work on balance. It's so important for them to know how to sit in a chair and stand up again. It's so important for them to know if they do fall on the floor, how to get themselves back up again. It's just so important. So I like to just encourage them. And Knockwood, my husband who's sitting here listening also, supports me. So I'm really doing this because I love doing it and I love working with these people.
That's
so
great.
It really is a job of joy.
Oh, excellent. I was wondering if you accepted Medicaid or Medicare.
I had a client that did put in to see if she couldn't collect.
Yes.
Our wonderful government says, well, no, if you're already healthy. Yeah, she tried, and I thought it'd be interesting. It'd be nice to have seen if they could. But I myself never thought to apply to see if I would be eligible to be. Thank you for that. My husband, I know, applied, and he accepts Medicare, right, Michael? Medicare. Maybe I should do that, Dan. Thank you. Apply and see if they would not accept me. I don't know what the criteria is.
Yeah, sure.
Where's a pen? Michael, that's for you to remember.
Yes.
Yeah, that's thank you.
That might be a good thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Maybe you could speak about your clients. You had said you had some that had injuries or disabilities.
Yes.
Maybe you could speak about that group and maybe some other type people you might work with.
Yeah. Like I said, I was working with somebody with Parkinson. The first time I started to work with a person with Parkinson, I had just got my certification. So it was like, oh my God, I can't believe. I was working in a studio at the time, and I wasn't home based. And it was like, I was so afraid. I was literally walking on eggs. It was like, what do I do with this person? How do I do it? God bless the computer. I would go on to see, even though I knew what to do, I had to check it all the time. And then I found, as I was working with him, he was actually teaching me. You know, I had learned so much from this person. And I remember working with him once in the studio. He did follow me to my home-based studio too, working with him. And we were working with the legs because that's where he had the big issues with legs. And making sure every time I would work with him, I'd have him raise his leg a little more. And somebody heard me one day saying to him, no, I know you could lift them up a little more. Just, use your breath, give me a big exhale, and lift those legs just a millimeter, just a little more. Yes. And they did. And I got called out on that by one of my colleagues. And I said, well, I knew, again, like I was saying before, I knew how far I could go with that client. And again, it's the same aspect as whether there is a disease or not a disease. You need to know how far you could push your client. You have to learn and what they need. And this client needed legs. I'm working with someone now, an older person. She's fallen a number of times. We work a lot on walking, on gait, heel toe, balance stuff, sit down, stand up. That's some of her hardest things. This is what they do. If somebody comes to me with a cane, I will work with them without their cane, and I will also work with them with the cane, because once you're walking with a cane, your gait changes. So you need to know how to walk with that cane properly, just as if you need to know how to work without it. The same thing with a walker. When one of my clients was with a walker, I would work with them with the walker, and I told them to bring the walker because they would walk into the house and use the stairs to pull themselves up. And I said, look, please bring your walker so we could work along with the walker. Because again, it changes the position. It changes your whole body. And you need to learn how to recruit the right muscles so you could go ahead and move forward as efficiently as possible as if you were not using that walker.
Exactly. You must have insurance in case, God forbid, something happens.
Oh, I do. Personally,
or
for the studio. Yeah, for the business I do. But yes, again, when it comes to a person with disabilities, falling down on the floor. A client that falls so often. When I was working again with my Parkinson's person, one of the important things was for him to learn how to stand up. His wife couldn't pick him up. He was like over 6 feet tall. And we worked on falling. I would have him from the Cadillac, which is one of the pieces of equipment, or a chair, go down to the floor, have him turn around, work a little while he was on the floor in quadruped, and then teach him how to pull himself up, recruit the correct muscles in order to get his legs under him. And one day I said to him, he was going to go on a cruise with his wife, and I said, a cruise, oh boy, let's work on that falling bit.
Yes.
And I said to him, okay, let's go down the floor. And he just looked at me and dropped to his knees. And was like, I was stunned. Because like this, he would slide off a chair or he would slide off a piece of equipment, but he just dropped to his knees and turned around, crawled over to the equipment and pulled himself back up. But he just dropped to his knees without the need of the equipment or something to get him down there, which means he had to recruit the right muscles in order to get down there. And that's another thing I like to do with people that come in with injuries or something and stuff like that. If they're feeling correct recruitments and firing of muscles on one side of their body, I will have them keep training on that side until they really get it in their head. I mean, these are all mind-body exercises, so you have to really focus and concentrate on what you're feeling and what you're doing. Once they have that sensation in their head, I will then go, try to hold on to that sensation and picture yourself doing it on the other side. really concentrate, and it takes a lot, and they even go, oh my God, this is such concentration, such focus.
Definitely.
But you need to try to feel it and find those muscles in order to try to move the other side. Does it always work? No, but most of the times it does. But the fact is they know that's their goal, to try as much as they could to try to find that recruitment on the side that's injured as they could find on the other
Exactly.
side.
Yeah, Bonnie, do you ever work with, say, hospitals or even senior centers?
No, that
Like once the people get what's it called? Once people get released from the hospital,
Yeah.
or even the senior center, and go home, maybe they could keep up the work at your place.
Yeah, no, I have not done that. It has been a thought. I have even had thoughts of I've never thought of going to the hospitals, but I have thought about going to senior centers
Yes.
to offer my services right there, because in a lot of these centers, these seniors are there. And my studio is on a second story, so a lot of them can't get up the stairs. But to that point, I do have some equipment that I keep downstairs, so that if they can't go upstairs, or if they had been going upstairs and one day come and can't go upstairs, they know they could work downstairs. But that is something I've thought about, and I probably should pursue, is going to the senior
most
centers.
definitely.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
yeah.
At your studio, do you have like maybe groups or classes?
I don't really have room. I have room maybe if I move the equipment around, maybe for 3, I could squeeze maybe 4 people in. I have done duets. I have worked with 2 people at a time, but I really don't have the room for classes. And so that's why, as we were talking earlier, before we went on the air, I said that a friend of mine had talked to somebody who owns a yoga studio and is interested in what I do. And so I'm going to be speaking with her about doing the gyrokinesis, which doesn't involve the equipment, about doing gyrokinesis classes over there.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bonnie, you spoke about why you entered this field. Maybe you could tell us why, when, and how you entered this.
We used to live in Manhattan, right across the street from Lincoln Center. It was great. And we're out here 16 years. So this is back in the late 90s, late 80s into the 90s.
Yes.
And I used to go to the studio to take gymnastics for adults. And in that studio, I saw what turned out to be Pilates Reformer. And I thought I would try that. And I did. So twice a week I do the gymnastics, and twice a week I do the Pilates. That's my introduction to Pilates. And then when I moved out here, it was a shock. It was a big adjustment. There was no Pilates studio.
What
and
was
then
the
finally
shock? What was the shock?
having to get comfortable driving again.
Oh,
I lived across the street from Lincoln Center. Not being able to roll
Yes.
out of bed and have everything at my fingertips, Not being able to walk to my gymnastics and Pilates classes. So when the studio did open here in Nyack, and I was working out there one day, and I was very active doing a lot of volunteer stuff in New York, and now I'm out here and not even wanting to go past Main Street once it got to 59, where it opened up and there was no barrier for the cars
Right.
coming.
yes.
And it was like, maybe I'd like to teach this. I really love this. And I talked to the owner of the studio, and he told me where to go. And guess what? During my training, learning the history of Pilates, it turned out the studio that I was doing Pilates in, I was actually doing it on Joe Pilates equipment, because Ramana is what they call first-generation teachers. She was taught directly by Joe Pilates, and when he died, she had inherited some of his equipment, and I went, who knew? Now I want to get back to that studio, you know? And it just evolved from there. And then gyrotonic was something I always wanted to learn. Was walking around the city in Chelsea one day, and I looked into the storefront window, and this again when we were living out there, and it looked like I was looking into a medieval torture chamber. You have to understand what a gyrotonic machine looks like.
Yes.
And there was 3 on each side, if I remember correctly, and I said, I need to try this. It just looked great. It's just like I say, in the 80s, that's when we were living in the city. And it turned out one of the girls in the studio was a gyrotonic instructor. And I talked to her about it, and I started training, and then I got my certification in gyrotonic. And
was that
here I am.
tough? Was it tough to get certified?
It was long. It's a lot of hours. It takes I would say with both of them, it was a year-long study. You know, you do your training, and then you have to put in your hours of apprenticeship, and then you have to do your studies, and then you have to take your exam. With both of those, so. It's tedious, you know.
And what did you
I wasn't
do?
exactly young.
What did you do before that?
Oh my God, how far back do we go? When I first met my husband, I was a dental hygienist.
Oh.
And then after being a dental hygienist and we moved to the city, I got very involved with Variety, the children's charity, who work with disabled children. It's a organization that's all around the world, and it came out of the theatrical business. And then I did a little bit of extras casting myself with an extra casting. And then periodically I'll do background work in film and TV.
Oh, really?
And I was a mother. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I have 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters.
Oh, fantastic.
So I keep and then we show the Maine Coon Cats. We have regional and international winners. And
I heard about
kittens periodically.
Yes.
I keep myself busy.
Yeah, it sounds.
Traveling to LA to see my daughter and her family, traveling to Boca to see my 97 and 95-year-old parents. So I'm a busy girl.
So we covered a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how do you go about getting your clients? Or how do people find out about you?
Most of my clients followed me to my studio when I opened up a home-based studio. So I have clients that have been with me for the 8-9 years, even while I was in training. So they're with me, and then word of mouth, they'll tell people to come. And then I had a few interviews with Rivertown, so people have called me from Rivertown. And, so now I have to go to the next step in developing my website and looking into advertising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got a full load.
Yeah.
So in our last 2 minutes, maybe you could repeat the name of your business, the location, phone number, website.
Okay, the name of the business is Mainly Silver Moves, and I'm in Grandview on Hudson on River Road. Beautiful view of the Hudson. I could be reached at 917-414-1111.
Oh,
Did
excellent.
I miss something?
No, I think you...
Oh, and I teach Pilates and gyrotonic and gyrokinesis. And the other thing is, if anybody wants to experience it, I'm happy to give 20 minutes, a half hour gratis, which always turns into an hour because I get so involved.
Yes. So do you do any work on the internet? Like, are you on Facebook or...
Not as Mainly
have
Silver
you?
Moves. Mainly Silver Moves is not on Facebook yet. But
Yes.
maybe Mainly Silver Moves will be once I get my website up
Excellent.
and going. Right now it's just very meager. It's Mainly Silver moves.com in the process of being produced.
Excellent. Bonnie, Pilar, thanks for joining me
Oh, thank
on
you for
Dialogues
having
with
me.
Dan. You're welcome, and
come and try it.
Oh,
You need
I
to come
will.
and experience it.
yeah, and let's all stay young.
Yes, absolutely. Grow old and feel younger. Growing older, feeling younger. That is it.
Exercising and
Absolutely.
feel great.
Yes.
Well, everyone, have a great night. Peace.
Good night.
It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com